Welcome back to the CMS-Connected show, the CMS industry's only news commentary show. I'm your host, Tyler Parvin, along with Scott Lee. We're from Digital Clarity Group. And again, we're coming to you from Ned Devine's Irish Pub, Faneuil Hall Marketplace in downtown Boston. Place is awesome. There's no other way to put it. Now, price isn't the sole reason you shop at Amazon or eBay. Now, these sites have a competitive advantage that really no other e-commerce retailer has. Now, they offer the best customer experience more times than not, which begs the question, should we be building your digital strategy around the content management system or the e-commerce system? Now, we actually want to discuss this a little bit further with our featured guest, Arthur Loita, president at Commerce Tools. Welcome to the show, Arthur. How are you doing today?
Good. Glad to be here.
Excellent. Good to hear. So, Scott, let's kind of get this going. Let's kind of delve right into it. Can e-commerce solutions offer enough to deliver a unique customer experience? Or are they best served to leave it alone, let the traditional CMS actually fill the web ecosystem tools? Where do you start, really?
Everybody that I know in e-commerce is worried about Amazon, right? Everybody's going to Amazon to buy anything they want. The reason they go there is because it's convenient, it's a great customer experience, and people are struggling, or brands are struggling to find a way to bring these customers back to their site. The only way to do that is by also providing a great experience for the brands. When customers come to a brand site, they need to find not only a great experience, but compelling content. And so what we're really focused on is providing the commerce infrastructure as a service, but allowing digital agencies and the brands to build these great sites that have tons of content that bring people back over and over again to their site and have them purchase there and build that brand affinity and allow them to do things like, if they have stores, then send them into stores and take away the reason why people go to Amazon.
Interesting. I think that's so. So, do you find yourself then? I mean, we talk about the rise of commerce, and certainly I've been in the content management space for a long time, and this is a show called CMS-Connected, so focused on a lot of those content folks. Do you find that folks who were more focused before on creating a great experience from a content standpoint are finding themselves being pulled more and more into the commerce play? Are we doing more and more online in that way? And do you find these kind of two areas coming together in your business?
Yeah, if you look at many of the analysts' reviews of this, content and commerce have been two separate organizations inside of a business, right? And the reason for that was commerce platforms were so complicated. You would have to go out and buy specialized software with huge license fees. You'd have to find really smart guys that cost a lot of money to be able to develop on them. And it stopped marketing departments from being in charge of the commerce experience. And what we're finding now is that because we have platforms like ours that provide commerce as a service, the marketing people, the people who really know the customers can actually start to be in charge of what the commerce experience looks like. They don't have to be limited by, oh, my commerce platform won't do that, or there's some feature that I want that I can't have. Digital agencies can go out and they can dream up anything they want from a commerce experience, build it in the CMS that they have, the technology that they already know, and then commerce as a service comes in and just injects commerce wherever they need it.
Interesting.
I had to go back and actually to read your company again. Commerce Tools. I mean, to me, when I'm hear you talking about commerce, it seems a little strange that we're a commerce platform vendor is talking about CMS first.
Yeah.
Why is that? Why do you really want to start there in particular?
Because the truth is that people who are buying things online want great experiences. And if they're not getting it, they're going to go somewhere else. So if you go out and you buy $1 million licensed product, and then you spend millions of dollars trying to innovate on it, you're never going to get any ROI unless you can provide a great customer experience. And commerce platforms traditionally don't focus on, even though they have CMSs embedded in them. If you look at any of the monolithic platforms like Magento or ATG or Hybris, they have a CMS, but it's not their focus. What we're really looking at is a world where you're using the best of breed to do every single thing that you want. And we provide the best of breed commerce as a service, but we want the CMS vendors who spend night and day figuring out how to do great CMS, delivering CMS.
So that's interesting because so many talk about this kind of notion of content and commerce coming together. It certainly has started to do that an awful lot more in the last 5 years or so. And the idea has often been, like you say, which comes first? You kind of go kind of content heavy with supported by commerce or vice versa, or some hybrid of the two. What you're saying is get the content right, get the experience right overall, and inject some commerce. Which I think is really relevant. Is that the case for all businesses, do you feel like? I mean, are there some businesses or are there some instances where you feel like it warrants, maybe because it's purely retail, or there's like, is this more a B2B recommendation? Is this more, like, does it make a difference on the type of business, or do you think that recommendation is fairly consistent across the board?
Yeah, it does. I think that there is a case for purely monolithic platform approach, and that's if you just have a website. If you're an online merchant and all you are is online, you have one website and you sell it, I think that there are a lot of platforms that can be really great for you. But if you're omni-channel and you have many, you have retail and you have distribution and you have online, or if you have many different channels online, or if you're a B2B company, and this is we're finding a great use case for this commerce as a service here, you're a B2B company and you have this homegrown ecosystem that's taken you 20 years to develop. And some of it's you've purchased, some of it you've developed. And then an e-commerce platform vendor is coming in and they're saying, oh no, buy my software, and here it's a completely different technology than you ever used. So change your enterprise architecture just to use commerce. We know with our system, the only way you can get to us is through a REST API, so that the CIO can keep his enterprise architecture, his or her enterprise architecture. He can drive the ship as far as what technologies they're going to use. Integrate in commerce wherever you need it, not have to do this whole huge platform effort. And so really what we're focused on are omni-channel and B2B.
Great. So talk to me, what's the difference between experience-led commerce and brand-centered commerce, and really why is it important shift for retailers to make that right now?
Yeah, I think experience-driven is really a combination of having a very great, easy-to-use experience when you come to buy things, and then also traditionally, brands had brand sites that were separate from their commerce, right? You'd go there and you'd have this great brand experience. You go to like, say Sephora before they, and you have this beautiful experience about their their content and their messaging. And then when you went to purchase, it would be this traditional store. Left-hand nav, browse, search, and you would lose the entire brand experience in that shopping. What we're saying is, keep your brand experience and inject shopping where it's most appropriate. So it doesn't feel to the customer like you're selling them all the time, or that they even have to go somewhere else to sell, that the selling experience is integrated into the brand experience.
Interesting. And so is Sephora one good example, or do you have some examples of some thoughts of maybe customers of yours or even others that have done a really good job of that? Because you started out by talking about Amazon, which I think is a really valid from an e-commerce standpoint, and certainly it's something that we all relate to. But it's not very content heavy, right? I mean, it's really, you go there to go buy something. And I'm there and I'm looking, and that's basically what it is. So it's not really much of an example of the kind of experience, the brand experience with commerce infused into it. So can you give us an example of that?
Sure, Sephora is not a customer of ours. They're a great example of this. I would say that a customer of ours is doing some incredible things is Blue Star Nutraceuticals. Okay. They sell almost 98% of their traffic comes from Facebook video.
Really?
They sell bodybuilding supplements, right? And so you watch this great video. It's actually providing you a ton of great information about not only how to use the product, but how to be a better athlete. And then at the appropriate time, they present an offer. The offer is then right there embedded into the video that you're looking at, and you can check out immediately. There's no store experience at all. We call those, you might call them digital innovators, people out there on the leading edge of what they're trying to do with commerce. Sure. And it's no store, and they do an incredible business in the United States.
So with that in mind, though, I mean, if they're purchasing right there on Facebook, is there even a need for a WebCM platform at all at that point? I mean, is it truly just we're moving everything to Facebook. I mean, because that's the thing, I've seen that a few times now where I've purchased stuff directly on Facebook, not even going to the website anymore. So do you even need that anymore?
Well, you have to broaden your, I think the definition of web CMS is broadening. If you look at the Adobe suite, right? There's these great tools to work with video and to work with images, and then how do you get, right? So so all of them, Hippo is another great example of personalization. And so it's not just that you're sending them the video, you're making sure the offer that they're getting is relevant to their age, their demographic, where they come from, so all of it. And so it's not just about Facebook, it's about the offer you're presenting, and it's about how to present that offer so that they actually buy.
In context and in an omni-channel environment, like you said, where it's wherever it is, because you might come through Facebook. My dad, who's never had, he might not be buying workout products either, but he's probably not going to get there through Facebook if he ever were to do so. So, valid point.
Okay, excellent.
So where do you see this whole thing going in the next 5 years? This whole commerce play, where is it going in the next 5 years? And I wonder if I can actually ask you to comment specifically on the whole VR, AR thing too, and whether that you think that plays into the future of commerce.
That's going to be huge. I mean, we're playing around now with VR, and one of the
virtual reality.
Virtual reality, right?
Augmented reality. Things like Blip-R and things like
exactly.
Yeah, I mean, the idea behind commerce as a service is you can inject commerce anywhere, right? And so whether you're in VR, looking at a virtual shelf, whether you're on your mobile device, whether you're in, you have the same back-end platform that works across all of those. Now, we believe that platforms are going to disappear. Platforms as you know them, right? That you're not going to go out and license anything. You're going to use, and this is also true, we believe, from the CMS perspective, that CMS vendors are going to start to have more and more less and less of a platform, more and more of a bunch of services that you're going to be able to access when you're building great user experiences. And we see that the consumer, it used to be that the business was in the center of this transaction. The consumer would have to figure out how to buy the business's products. They'd have to call them up. They'd have, the business was dictating this. And now with Instagram, Facebook, virtual reality, all the things that are coming up, the consumer is now in the center of this. And businesses have to figure out how to get their products, content, anything they want to the consumer where the consumer is.
Hence the Facebook point.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right. That's that business coming to where its audience
right
is.
there. Which I think, at the end of the day, that's kind of just the marketing piece of it all, right? I mean, you want to go where your people actually are. And I think Gary Vaynerchuk said it at one point, the marketers, we just end up screwing up the places where everybody end up being, right? Email was great, and then all of a sudden we said we have to go in email, and all of a sudden we screwed up email. No one wants to be on it anymore, right? It's the same type of mentality, isn't it? Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and if you think, I want to just, this augmented reality, my kids got Pokemon Go last week. Have you seen this?
I did too last week.
Yeah, I got it last night.
Just to try it because
I had someone
I
walk
saw
into
it
my
every
driveway
single
while I
feed
was
that I
mowing the
had.
lawn.
There was some article by some fairly smart person writing about the implications. One was like Psychology Today and like the implications of, it was just from the Wall Street Journal to Psychology Today. I was like, okay, now I'm missing something if I don't do this. So I did do it.
Yeah.
But, so what do you think?
Well, look, now you're using your phone because it's the device we have, and you're seeing things on your phone where you are that are interesting. In that case, it's Pokemon. But you can imagine that you're in a store, the same kind of experience. Absolutely. Here's the stuff that you're looking at something, but it doesn't have what you want, so it's showing you what you have. And you take it a step beyond. You're sitting in your chair, you have your virtual reality goggles on, and you're having the same kind of experience. So it's not, it's not going to be ever, here's my platform, come to me and get it. It's always going to be, how can I get the product, services, information to the person where they are? Exactly. And that's going to be the big change.
They could be walking down the street and see a shirt that you like and look through some app on your phone at what somebody else is wearing, and it's going to be able to allow you to buy it there.
Absolutely.
Well, actually, they're doing our last episode was at Fenway Park. They have one of the fastest growing virtual reality sets actually inside of Fenway itself. You can actually put on the headset. You're all of a sudden looking around. You're in a jersey. You see Poppy right there. Guess what? You're actually in the pro shop now. So that's what they've started to try to bring to the table as well. Now, one of the questions you would actually, when we were kind of going back and forth before the actual show itself, you started talking about European retailers. Talk about, why do you think European retailers are actually further ahead in kind of this whole approach right now?
I always go back to a company called Zalando. They started only a few years ago, and they had this this idea of the separation of back end and front end. And they said, look, we're going to build a killer back end, and we're going to build up these internet companies really fast. And we're going to do it because we can innovate on the front end without having to worry about any of the back end stuff. And they actually hand built this platform that's very much like the platform that we have, that we make available to mid-sized companies and everybody, and they went from like 0 to $5 billion in revenue in 4 years. And they did it because they were letting their marketers go crazy, right? Market any way you want to. And what we've done in the commerce industry, at least, is constrain the marketing teams. And it's been, we've told them, you can only do what we let you do. And so a marketer will come and say, hey, I want to do this promotion. And then the guy is like, oh, the platform doesn't support that, right? And so that answer comes back to marketers enough, then they kind of throw their hands up and say, well, what can I do, right? So that's a big difference. And so what we're saying now is, let's have ways to unleash the power of the marketer, who's the only person in the company who really knows the customer, and let them do what they want, and let's provide the tools through a great CMS and commerce as a service so they can do it.
Is there something specific about them being about the European retailer, though, that made it unique, like a unique value proposition that they have to offer? Like you were specific, I thought, about the European notion, though.
I also I see the green thing going on in Europe a lot more, and I think what I've seen is that European customers are much more connected to their brands than we are. And they're pushing the agenda on their brands, where they're saying, look, you have to be green. You have to deal with me in the same way that, in the way that I want to be dealt with. And that's forcing European retailers to be more innovative in that process. Where in the US, I think that hasn't flipped yet. And we still, consumers don't understand the power that they have to get brands to operate in a way that they need them to.
Not demanding enough.
Enough. Who would have thought that U.S. consumers are not demanding, U.S. anything is
U.S.
not
anything,
demanding
not
enough?
demanding. That'd be the last thing that came out of anybody's mouth. But it's interesting, you mentioned that. I think the last point, we've been talking about this, literally since we started the show about, going back to the marketing battling, especially here in the States, battling with the CIOs. It's an ongoing thing. This is happening now for 4 years. Even more so now than ever, but it just continues. Are we ever going to see a turning point, though, with that, realistically? I don't think that's
where the turning point in what between the
marketers and the tech team.
Well, I think you've seen a lot of turning point, and the point that Arthur's making, I think, is this notion of kind of a zero footprint, platforms and services and things that are in the cloud, and now suddenly you are able to, whether it's a marketer or any line of business person within an organization, now able to kind of much more control their own kind of destiny. There's no longer, I think IT can be much more of a strategic value add in terms of helping the organization figure how it's going to progress and become more digital and leverage its digital capabilities, but they no longer have to be the bottleneck through which everything kind of goes in and out of, which is the way that it kind of used to be before for a long time. Before you kind of had to go through them, now they're helping to guide where you're going.
And we do take care, we're a German company. Our software works, it's secure, so you have to check those lists for the CIO because their job is to make sure that everything works, nothing gets, broken into. So, you have to check, and we do. And once you get over that hurdle, then the CIOs tend to come on board very quickly.
So, Arthur, thank you very much for joining us. Really appreciate it. For everybody out there, where can they find you? Where's the best place to get in contact with you?
Well, our website is commercetools.com. Our office, we have offices in New York, Chicago, and soon to be Durham, North Carolina, where's one of our development offices. So we're actually a global company, right? So we have our main offices in Munich and Berlin, and you can reach me at arthur.luita@commercetools.com.
Very cool. He is Arthur Luita, Scott Lee, where I'm Tyler Pyron. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back in just a few seconds, where we talk to Amy Martin for our vendor spotlight.
Your job is to cut through the noise. To succeed, you need to reach out to your target audiences in real time with messages that speak to them. You can't let technology get in the way of your brand. That's the spirit. First Spirit is a powerful solution that helps you effectively communicate and engage with your target audience. Get an awesome ROI. Success in the market means your message got through to the right people at the right time in the right way. And that's why you need First Spirit. Get started with digital marketing. Visit www.espirit.com now.